Joined on the broadcast by former DG Infantry Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni on the broadcast. Thank you, General Kulkarni, for joining us on CNN News 18. How do you see these developments coming in Jammu and Kashmir as a military man who served in the Kashmir Valley? The fact that there is movement to revoke the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and now, as Anurag Thakur was pointing out in the Jammu region, that elections could take place in the next 8 to 9 months. What kind of different paradigm are we seeing in Jammu and Kashmir?
Ayushman, positive direction. I think all of it is in the positive direction because slowly and steadily we do see normalcy limping. And there is no denying the fact that after the abrogation of Article 370, there has been a sea change in the state, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. 20 million tourists, 55,000 of which them are foreigners. The kind of roads that have come up, the railways that have come up, the kind of job opportunities that have come up, the medical colleges being set up, the IITs being set up, the IIM being set up, a whole lot of nursing colleges coming up. As it is, there is so much of craving for education in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and all of it being met. There is a tremendous amount of optimism, and things are moving in the right direction. Having said that, we realized that the AFSPA was brought in primarily at a time when things have really gone bad. And the law and order situation, the state couldn't control it. The situations had almost spun into militancy. Things had gone wrong in '89. And therefore, Armed Forces Special Powers Act came in 1990 in the valley and in 2001 in Jammu. So this was primarily to ensure that the normalcy returns. Otherwise, why else would the Armed Forces Special Power Act come? It is with a view to provide a legal cover to the troops, because the troops aren't meant for it. The troops are meant to guard the borders, the territorial integrity and the sovereignty of the nation. But since the situation goes out of control, the troops are brought in to bring in normalcy and therefore to provide. And at no point of time you would find that the misuse of these powers had been done. Aberration, one-odd aberration, possible. In over 34 years, if one-odd aberration, two-odd aberration is possible. But not, I'm sure if I were to ask anybody, come on, tell me how many aberrations, hardly anyone would be able to name one or two of them. But that's okay. And severe punishments are there even for us while I'm commanding in the valley. There's severe punishments if should I be doing or taking law in my hand. So that's not possible. And therefore, the Armed Forces Special Power Act brought in normalcy. That normalcy is being seen. And that visibility, since of the kind of tourism, the kind of normalcy that is over there, people returning back, administration is responsive, so many good things are happening over there. Therefore, the statement given by the Union Home Minister is, when asked, he said, why not? It would take time. It could be done immediately over a period of 7 years or slowly and steadily. There's a blueprint, and rightly so. If things are returning to normalcy, there would be no need, and slowly and steadily the troops will be pulled out, and probably they would only be doing what they're required to do, they guard the LOC. That's what they would be doing over there. And the central forces, well, maybe they may go back to barracks, and the kind of synergy that is there existing between the police, the central forces and the army at the moment, and the way these police is leading now from the front in almost all coordinate search and activities that take place to ensure peacefulness and law and order prevailing in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. And therefore, when there is so much of respect that is high, the trust factor has gone up with the local police. I think the Home Minister is absolutely right in saying slowly and steadily things are moving normalcy. And as we see in the Northeast, 70% of the Northeast is without the AFSPA, and all of it has got lifted because normalcy returns. And who wants it? Nobody wants it. And with the elections now coming up for the Lok Sabha, followed thereafter for the assembly elections, followed probably thereafter for the statehood of the Union Territory, all of it which is in the pipeline slowly and steadily. I think things are all moving in the right direction, positive direction, and I'm sure things will happen good for the people of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir.
Right.
Yeah,
General Kulkarni, now many of the valley parties have pointed out, they have admitted to the fact that the law and order situation has really improved in Jammu and Kashmir. But the AFSPA at the end of the day has been essential when it comes to policing Jammu and Kashmir because of the entrenchment of the terror infrastructure among the locals in certain parts of the Kashmir Valley. Now, knowing that there is some local support, many times the hybrid terrorists and these terror cells, they are successful because they have local support. to get rid of that is still a huge process. At the same time, how do you see the shift of the terror tactics moving away from the LOC towards the Rajouri-Poonch belt and using that route to enter into Jammu and Kashmir? The criticism coming in from many of the valley parties is that the terror infrastructure is shifting to the Jammu region now and away from the Kashmir Valley. Given these conditions, given the fact that there is still at some level local support for terrorists coming from across the border, given the fact that terrorists are shifting their operations to the Rajouri-Poonch belt, do you still feel that removing AFSPA or a phased withdrawal is the only way forward at the end of the day in Jammu and Kashmir? Because the threat of terror is still there. It's clear and present in Jammu and Kashmir.
Yeah, of course. See, what is being stated, statistics show that militancy has come down by 70%. If it has come down by 70%, means 30%, maybe because of the local support, maybe still because of the kind of statements that are given by the local politicians that why don't we talk to Pakistan and things of those kind, when we fully well know that terror and talks can't go together. We know that our neighbor uses terrorism as an instrument of state policy. We know incidents what are happening in Rajouri and Poonch. It has happened one today only. So you find a whole lot of things that are happening, and definitely in the valley it may have reduced. But to say that it wasn't there, in fact, in Rajouri, Poonch, Doda, and all over Kishtwar, you find that it had almost vanished. But suddenly you find, so therefore, it is to say that normalcy has come would be a little bit of, I would say, I would be too ambitious to say normalcy. Normalcy is returning. It will take time for 100% normalcy to return, and therefore there is no problem. It could be lifted in places where you be provided. As I said, provided there is no local support, and provided we ensure that there is definitely no local support and none from all the launch pads that are there along the LOC, people being pushed in, drones being used, drugs being used, Nepal border being used for infiltration, Jammu suddenly getting active, things of those kinds. So we have to ensure all this will take time, because it is over 34 years that things have really gone bad. Much there had been before, but for the last 34 years since the AFSPA, now the normalcy is returning. The Naya Kashmir that we are talking about is coming now. So it will take time. The mindset will change slowly and steadily. And therefore, we shouldn't take any hasty steps, but surely we are moving in the right direction. And whenever situation so sort of we can feel that yes, there is no need of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and that the local police can handle, and that there is peace prevailing in the valley, and that law and order is a state subject which they are able to handle it. They don't need any central support for it. By all means, there is no requirement for the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and all of them will do what they're for what they are employed for, rather than getting involved into the law and order situation and restoring peace and normalcy in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir.
Right. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you, General Kulkarni, for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective when it comes to the security paradigm in Jammu and Kashmir, as this big statement has come in from Home Minister Amit Shah talking about the plan in place for the revocation of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. At the same time, Union Minister Anurag Thakur has made the pitch that in the next 8 months that you could have state elections in Jammu and Kashmir. This is countering the entire offensive from the Valley parties, ladies and gentlemen, who have maintained that ever since the abrogation of Article 370, the centre aims to impose primarily central rule in Jammu and Kashmir. But as we can see, normalcy is something that has taken root in Jammu and Kashmir. And when it comes to the issue of statehood, the central government has maintained that statehood is a top priority of the Modi government, with Anurag Thakur now even saying that in the next 8 to 9 months, elections could take place. So we'll have to wait and see how the Modi government's Naya Kashmir mission plays out in the weeks and months to come.